Hello everyone, this is Eva and you're with Emma Butin.
Hi.
So you're watching 10 by 10 Lessons with Emma Butin and Eva. So we are on chapter 5, How Much Is It Worth? So in chapter 5 in your book, you mentioned the company valuation. And it's interesting to see that Twitter, Instagram, Ch5 and Pinterest made it to be billion-dollar companies when they had no sales.
Right.
So is this a bubble or is there a reason behind it?
Well, apparently it's not a bubble at all. The billion-dollar companies actually teach us something very valuable and very important. But before I show you what they teach us, think of a beautiful lady and when she puts on makeup. The primary thing about putting on makeup, they always tell you either accentuate your eyes or your hair or your lipstick. Don't ever do everything because then it looks funny. Business is the same thing. The billion-dollar companies teach us that in order to be a billion-dollar company very quickly, we should focus on one thing and one thing only. Well, let's take a look. What the billion-dollar companies are teaching us that you don't necessarily have to have sales in order to be valued at $1 billion. The reason is because if you keep on going and doing what you do most and best, you will probably become an expert at something. So let's take a look at some examples. Pinterest created a little pin button. That's all they did right from the start. Instagram created photos and filters for users to use, and that's all it did and continue to do. Ch5 is one button that you press whenever you want to know what kind of music is playing. It would tell you what it is. YouTube, obviously all videos go there, and Twitter is all about 140 notes. And what's interesting to see about all of these billion-dollar companies is that what they started doing from the start, they kept on doing. And when they had 10 million users and 50 million users, they didn't come and say, well, we can sell more things, we can do other things. No, they continued to do what they started doing. And this teaches us something very important. It teaches us that when you continue to do one thing and one thing only, and focus your energy on growth and focus your energy on that one thing, you become an expert. Pinterest became the largest picture aggregator of the world. Instagram had the most used pictures on Facebook with their filters. Ch5 became the largest database of audio recognition. YouTube, obviously, the largest database of videos. And Twitter gives us the most updated news and events. That means that when you're the most, when you're the best, when you're an expert, you're always valued. You're always valued for something. And somebody would always want you, so you become an asset.
Emma, what about billion-dollar companies like Zynga, Groupon, and Airbnb? They had their business models, but they also got to be the billion-dollar companies. What can you tell us about it?
What's interesting about these companies is that they all focused on making money as of day one. Zynga is a gaming company. Groupon obviously lets us buy stuff at discount prices. Ch5 is a company that rented out textbooks to students instead of students buying the textbook for the entire time. And Airbnb was all about subletting your apartment or subletting somebody else's apartment throughout the world. And what's in line here, that all of these companies, those billion-dollar companies, focused on their business model, focused on making money as of day one. They didn't say, well, when we're going to have 1 million users, 2 million users, we're going to start monetizing. No, they said, we'll make making money our subject, and we'll make scale of making money as of day one. And this is what's important. So if you're thinking about your business model, and if you're thinking about how to scale on making money, think about how you can monetize as of day one. Because these companies show us that you can actually become a billion-dollar company if you focus on that.
Emma, so you're telling us that we should either focus on users' growth or business growth. So can't we do both?
if you're an internet startup, it's probably best that you don't do both. Because the billion-dollar companies teach us that when you focus on something, you should really focus all of your energy at one thing and become very good at it. So if you focus on user growth, there are certain elements that you will need in order to do that and do that properly. If you focus on monetizing your users, and if you focus on money and making money, make sure that you do it on day one. And the reason is because you need all of the right features and all of your energy into making this your scale. If you want to scale up, you really want to take all of your energy and direct it into one direction, making sure that you become really, really good at something, and then you grow exponentially. Whether it's user growth and you're becoming an asset, or it's about monetization and your business model.
Why can't we monetize our users at a certain point? What should we consider?
When you would like to monetize your users at a certain point, what you should really consider is your company's valuation. Let's take Pinterest for example. Pinterest did not report any substantial sales, though it was valued at $2.5 billion based on its last round of financing, basically. Companies that are based on sales will be valued according to their sales times a multiplier. A multiplier is a certain number per industry that gives us the company's valuation based on its sales. For example, if we have a company with $100 million annual sales and its multiplier, the industry multiplier for that company, will be 7, then the company would be roughly valued at $700 million. Now, how are these two related? Let's see. Pinterest today is valued at no sales, at $2.5 billion. What would happen if Pinterest started making revenue? If Pinterest would start making substantial revenue, then the company's valuation would now turn into a multiplier times the Pinterest annual sales. So for example, if Pinterest started selling something tomorrow, and let's say it reached $150 million in annual sales, and let's say that the industry multiplier is high, or let's say that the industry multiplier is even 10, then the company would be valued at $1.5 billion. And that's if Pinterest made $150 million right on the first year. So we can see that even if Pinterest started selling and making $150 million a year, it would still be valued times the multiplier for the industry. I assumed it's 10. It could be a different multiplier. But that means that when you are willing to monetize your users, and you have a substantial amount of users, the decision that you need to take is whether you should push forward and grow and become an expert in the industry, or when you start monetizing, just think of the company's valuation, because it would be dependent on the amount of annual sales.
Emma, thank you for your explanation.
Sure.
So what's the chapter 6 about?
Well, chapter 6, it's all about startup entrepreneurs and their relationship.
So you're more than welcome to post your questions down on this page, and Emma will be happy to answer them on our next chapter. So thank you for watching. See you next week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.